Well, folks, good evening to you one and all, and we're back with you again. Thanks to Eskom, we've missed 8 of the most amazing laps of sports and the GT Masters. But we're back with you. We're in Belle Isle at round 3. It's season number 5. Can you believe it? The second production studio bedecked with the voice of West Farmers Motorsport, one of the biggest voices in oval track racing in South Africa, and on Yostaci, FC Nivot, and our radio man from Killarney International Raceway in Emil Tiny Brunt. So let's get back to the racing. We're at Detroit Grand Prix in Belle Isle. It's the B8s that we have out there, and bringing you the latest info. We'll try and catch up as much as we can. Frankie, well, we missed out on 10 brilliant laps.
Well, you're going lap 10, 14 minutes in, and obviously because of the load shedding, we are now literally behind, and we don't quite know what happened in those opening laps. So any drama that might have happened out there, we obviously would not have that on record, as we ride aboard with Andre Steenkamp, making his way. Oh, losing the tail end there. Does he catch it? Almost catches it, does
Well,
Steenkamp.
he caught someone else.
So then Eugene Manouk, the man that's still out there with that pink outfit in the Topo Pilatus sponsored machine out there, also losing the tail end. That's a replay there of Eugene Manouk. So as the cars go past Peter van der Spy, you saw him go by, and Herman Lazarus as well. This is a replay FC of Colin Plitt in the 75 car.
Colin Plitt just getting the tail end of that Holden stepping out there. These Aussie V8 supercars being quite the handful to race. It was all the chatter on the groups leading up to this race that the guys were really looking forward to the chaos as Herman Lazarus loses it and plants it into the wall as well in that Mustang. But riding on board with your race leader Luke Lucchesi as Johan Fourie is in the pit lane. Does he have some damage? Or what is happening there for Fourie? But your race leader is Luke Lucchesi in the Pantera Racing Red Bull Holden, and he's pulling away at the front of this race 15 minutes in, and he's already got a sizable lead there on Fourie, and Sandra Bakari moves up into second.
Yeah, Fourie is there in pit lanes. He's dropping down the leaderboard, and look at that. Captain Peter van der Spy, our very own Maverick, finds himself there in that third position with the Dr. Mike Verga in P4. I think there must have been some major issues out there in the beginning. Here comes the Coca-Cola car and the Rico Barlow Racing 8 24/7 of Mike Verrier. Is he making his way around? Mike sitting out there in that fourth position, and he's 5 seconds behind the man in third place, Peter van der Spy.
Yeah, then Peter Hubert, he finds himself there in that fifth place in the DeWalt Power Tools Holden, sitting in that fifth position. Johan Fourie has now worked his way out of the pits and sitting in that sixth place in the Monster Energy Holden in sixth. Willem Pinaar, the man bringing the Castrol Edge number 57 Holden out through the track as well. He's there in seventh place, with Robbie Teens out there in the Bottle O Ford Mustang in eighth position.
Yeah, then in ninth place, 1.8 seconds behind him is the Hot Wheels outfit there of Colin Plitt, and he's 1.6 seconds behind Robbie Teens. And then rounding off the top 10, 12.5 seconds behind Colin Plitt is the Ford Mustang there of Gerald Maget, a Frenchman that lives in Switzerland.
Yeah, Ian Riddle is the man in 11th position. He's 31 seconds down from Maget in that 11th position, with Willem Botha currently 13.3 seconds down from him in that 12th place in the 11 car behind Riddle. Then Graham Stephen finds himself in that 13th position, 20 seconds down from Botha, with Steenkamp in 14th place. He's a minute and 2 seconds behind the likes there of Stephen in the John Player Special Holden, followed by Herman Lazarus and Eugene Manouk.
Well, the fact that Willem Botha, Graham Stephen and Steenkamp are so far down, that tells me something must have happened out there in those opening laps, as we have a look here at the replay of a swapper being done here by the cheapercars.co.za man, Herman Lazarus, as the rest of the field works their way past him.
That was identical in exactly the same corner where we saw his last replay happen.
Correct.
So, yeah, these cars overruns it again as Herman Lazarus in the 69. These are big Aussie V8s, a big handful for the racers out there today. And what a pity we missed that opening stint. To even see Johan Fourie that far down, that tells me that car picked up some damage, as we've seen all of them struggle with the handling of these cars. Oh, Mike and Peter Hubert almost having a coming together there as Peter Hubert moves up position.
Yeah, there was a replay of that situation, but it's all about that Red Bull holding up front of Pantera Racing's Luke Lucchesi. That's sitting 18.7, nearly 19 seconds ahead of Sandro Bakari in that second position. So it's worked out pretty well here for Luke Lucchesi as he works his way around BELLE in the Detroit, Michigan, right there by Lake Michigan, as a matter of fact, as we look at that front right suspension of that Red Bull Holden of race leader Luke Lucchesi, nearly 19 seconds ahead of Sandro Bakari, that is there in that second position.
The right-hand side of that Red Bull car looks pretty fine, but the left-hand side looks pretty dinged up. Sandro Bakari doing pretty well to find himself in that second position, albeit 19 seconds down from a race leader. But the Irwin and Fuchs bright blue and gold colored Holden there of Bakari sitting in that second position and doing pretty well to stay 5.5 seconds ahead there of third place, Captain Pete.
Well, Peter van der Spey is a man that's out there in that third position. He's out there in that third position. Yeah, he's only 5.8 seconds behind Sandro Bakari as we ride there with Peter van der Spey in that third place, Captain Pete. And then in that fourth position is Peter Hubert, 6.5 seconds behind van der Spey. And the gaps are pretty big. The intervals between each other is pretty sizable. It's only Mike Verrier that is 1.5 seconds behind Johan Fourie, that is there in that fifth position. That's about the closest that any driver is to anybody else FC out there on circuit, is the one between those two, between Fourie and Verrier.
Oh, look at the damage there on Andre Steenkamp, or who is that on the outside of Steenkamp? Oh, Steenkamp climbing that curb and flicking that Holden up into the air. And whoever was there ahead of him, that car's got almost no nose on it. So yeah, not sure who that was there. But riding on board with Peter van der Spey, just look at how much roll there is in these cars. That's why they are such a handful. A stiff chassis, but still a lot of roll in the bodies as they try to muscle these V8 cars around the corner.
Well, Colin Plitt is there in a pit lane, and Graham Stephen is busy making his way out of pit lane as we have a look at that right rear suspension of Captain Peter van der Spey's car. Look at those discs glowing there as he works his way around BELLE. Now Johan Fourie is closing up there on fourth place man Peter Hubert. There's only 0.8 of a second between Fourie and Hubert as Johan tries to claw his way back up the leaderboard once again.
Yeah, Eugene Minuk getting out of the way there of Peter van der Spey. Van der Spey knows he's got to put in the laps to try and stick there with Bakari, even though he is 6.5 seconds down the road. Peter Hubert just Van der Spey diving into the pit lane. So possibly fix him some damage there as he's in the pit lane. And that moves Johan Fourie up into that third position as Peter Hubert also into the pit lane.
Yeah, 21 seconds, make it 22 minutes, I should say, into this one. So I think the guys are now beginning to make some routine pit stops. So Van der Spey in the pits, Peter Hubert in the pits, Johan Fourie was in the pits early on. Eugene Minuk, he is also there in pit lane. As we have a look at the man in that, he's climbing up the leaderboard. That is Willem Pienaar, because everybody else is in the pits and they're beginning to make their way out. And Pienaar has not had a pit stop yet. That is Willem in that Castrol Edge Holden of his. And he has now moved up there into the fifth position, currently 16.5 seconds behind Mike Verrier.
Yeah, Mike Verrier ahead there of Willem Pienaar. Oh, bang, goes somebody into
I think that might be Steenkamp.
Andre Steenkamp, yes, the John Player special car. That's definitely Andre Steenkamp that made that big off there as we're riding on board with Willem Pienaar at the lead there. Yeah, let's have a look at this a replay of Andre Steenkamp coming heavily down the straight. towards the corner, stomps on the brakes, just gets it sideways and bang into the tires.
Yeah, side slap that tire wall there by Andre Steenkamp. And remember, that is a pretty hard knock if it comes from the side. A replay here, the Castral Edge car of Willem Botha whacking into that wall there where the Penske sign is, flicking it around and rejoining the circuit again, but that will cost him some serious positions as Mouget leaves the pits and Luke Lucchesi makes his way into pit lane.
Yeah, Luke Lucchesi dives into the pits from the lead of the race and currently still in that second position. Johan Fourie looking like he might be... No, he actually came out behind Lucchesi. So Lucchesi just managed to get out ahead there of Johan Fourie and maintain position. There they are, nose to tail, effectively two of the fastest guys out there. It is Luke Lucchesi ahead there of Johan Fourie.
So this is going to be entertaining stuff to say the least. Remember that Sandro Baccari, the man sitting out there in P1, has not made a pit stop yet. And this is going to be interesting stuff because the moment that Sandro Baccari works his way into pit lane, that will probably promote Lucchesi and Fourie into first and second positions. And these guys are picking up a lot of traffic already there in front of them, as Lucchesi's got Ian Riddle just there ahead of him, and he will now really want to make that move on Ian Riddle quickly because he knows he's been hassled heavily there by Johan Fourie.
You can imagine there was a lot of light flashing and swearing happening behind the scenes for Ian Riddle to get out of my way. I've got Johan Fourie behind me, chasing me down. It's a 0.6 of a second between the two of them as Lucchesi is desperately trying to get away as Sandro Baccari dives into the pits and Lucchesi regains the lead of this race.
So that is it, P1 and P2, Lucchesi and Fourie, as the Fuchs Lubricants and Irwin machine of Baccari makes its way into pit lane. Here comes the Rico Barlow Racing April 24/7 and Coca-Cola car there of Mike Verrier. That's in that third position. He still needs to make a pit stop. So does Willem Pienaar and Robbie Teens and Gerald Mouget. They are the only drivers in the top 10 that has not made a pit stop yet.
Baccari coming out of the pits there behind Eugene Manouk, but that's not for position. The only driver ahead of Mike Verrier and in his way to the lead drivers ahead of Sandro Baccari, shall I say, is Mike Verrier in this race for Baccari to catch up back to your race leaders. And Mike Verrier still has to get that Coca-Cola machine into the pits and not without damage, so I can't see that happening too far from now.
Yeah, that Coca-Cola Mustang is busy working its way around the circuit there in that third position. Hasn't pit stopped yet and he's 11.8 seconds behind Johan Fourie. Johan is now just over a second behind Luke Lucchesi in that fight for the lead. There's a fight going on there for fifth position because Teens and Hubert is all over Willem Pienaar, and that's the three cars you see there in on your screen busy working their way around. Willem Pienaar in that number 57 of his is right there in that fifth position, and he's been hassled heavily there by the 1 of Teens and the 10 of Peter Hubert.
Yeah, it's all out war here between these three. Willem Pienaar doing a good job to keep the guys behind him. It's going to be the guys attacking from the rear that's going to have to be brave to try and make a move. You're just going to have to give that extra bit of power, and that gives you quite a big chance to lose the tail end and plant it in the wall. So Willem Pienaar just needs to keep cool and calm. Oh, Peter Hubert almost planting it in the wall, and into the pits goes Willem Pienaar.
Yeah, I saw Peter Hubert just rub that wall ever so slightly as a replay here once again of Andre Steenkamp in the Batmobile with the JPS livery on it. And bang, into the wall there goes Andre Steenkamp.
I turned it to left, it did not go left.
I don't want to turn left.
Back on board with your race leader, Luke Lucchesi. He's now pulled a little bit of a gap on second place, Johan Fourie. 1.7 seconds the difference between the two of them, with Mike Verrier 13 seconds down the road. Sandro Baccari still chasing in that fourth position, 16 seconds behind Verrier.
So with the Pienaar making his way out of the pit area, it's now Van der Spey and Hubert. That's all over Robbie Teens that's there in that fifth position. And that is a fight that we're going to look at right now. There's Peter Hubert in that seventh position. Just ahead of him is Captain Peter Van der Spey, and just ahead of Captain Pete is Robbie Teens. Luke Lucchese, the quickest man out there with a 1:29.932.
Yeah, the guys doing quick times out there in your racing. But Peter Hubert, he's right all over the back end there of Van der Spey. Van der Spey getting closer and closer to Robbie Teens as Mike Verrier is into the pit lane. And that could be what Sandra Bakari needs in this race.
Well, Peter van der Spey and Peter Hubert sitting out there in P6 and 7 all over the back of Teens, but Robbie Teens has to make his way into the pits, and he has. Robbie Teens has made his way into the pit lane, and that will then promote Van der Spey and Hubert up into that 4th and 5th positions, as Mike Verrier is making his way out of the pit area.
Yeah, Mike Verrier leaving the pit area. Robbie Teens in the pits at this stage. Willem Botha also making his way to pit exit. But Sandra Bakari has moved up into that 3rd place. But just 6.97 seconds down the road is Peter van der Spey with a hard-charging Peter Hubert also in that 5th position as we get out here with Robbie Teens making his way out onto the pit exit and coming out ahead there of Willem Pinaar.
Yeah, so Teens working his way out there. Pinaar just in there behind him. 0.2 of a second between Teens and Pinaar. Remember that Pinaar has got the momentum on his side. But Robbie Teens, I think, will just hang on to that 7th position. And yes, he does. And here comes the man representing UK and Ireland. That is Willem Pinaar. Car 57 sitting out there in a P8 in that Holden Commodore. The Castrol Edge Holden Commodore, and Eugene Manouk in trouble there with the best water technology livery on his car.
Yeah, Eugene Manouk doing a bit of a park job where he shouldn't. But let's have a look here. What happened to Gerald Mauger in that Monster Energy Ken Block livery? Oh, this time he wants to turn right, but couldn't make it. But luckily keeps it out the wall is Gerald Mauger. Coming down the main or one of these straights out here, Willem Botha. Let's see what happened to him and his Holden. Oh, just way too hot into the corner. That's never going to make it. Yeah, Willem Botha planting that one in the tire wall. And Eugene Manouk getting that Mustang all out of shape. As we saw earlier, gets it completely sideways as he climbs the curb and becomes an obstacle there for the rest of the guys.
Yeah, so Eugene Manouk getting himself back into it again. So we're riding with Luke Lucchese, the Pantera Racing, Red Bull Racing Holden that sits out there in P1, 2.3 seconds ahead of Gun Free. So the gap is beginning to increase steadily there between Luke Lucchese and Juan Fourie in that 2nd position, with Sandro Bakari behind them, 32 seconds. There's Sandro in that 3rd position. Ahead of him, he's got the back marker in Gerald Mauger, but there's 14 seconds between himself and Mauger that is the back marker. As we have a look there at Sandro Bakari in that Fuchs Urban sponsored Holden of his, busy working his way around, sitting out there in that 3rd position. As I said, nearly 32 seconds behind 2nd place man Juan Fourie.
Well, Sandro Bakari must have had a very, very good start to the race. I mean, if you look at positions gained, he gained 10 positions from the start of the race, and he's ahead of basically everybody else who's not Luke Lucchese and Johan Fourie, and yeah, doing a pretty good job out there. Peter van der Spey currently in that 4th place. He's 7.2 seconds behind Bakari, with Peter Hubert in 5th, 1.2 seconds behind.
Well, the biggest mover there is Juan Fourie up 12 positions, Mike Verrier up 11, and Sandro Bakari up 10, Eugene Manouk down 10 positions, Steenkamp down 6, and Graham Stephen also down 8 there, and Robbie Teens down 6 positions.
Big bang there for Graham Stephen in the background of that shot. Just got it all wrong coming out of that corner, got the tail end of that Holden hanging out and just planted it face first into the barrier. Let's have a look at it as he comes out there. Yeah, just overcooks that rear and it swings that Holden right around.
Not an easy race car to drive on these street circuits here in Belle Isle in Detroit, Michigan. But that man in 5th position, Peter Hubert, he's 1.4 seconds behind Peter van der Spey, who's moved up 2 positions into that 4th place. So the intervals are pretty big there. It's literally only Fourie that's beginning to claw himself back ever so slightly there on Luke Lucchesi. 2.6 seconds between Lucchesi and Fourie. A lot of damage there on that Peter Hubert car. And there is Peter van der Spey in that fourth position. He's 5 seconds behind Sandro Bakari. Is Peter van der Spey. As we have a look at Captain Pete busy working his way around. And then behind him, and closing up on him, only 1.5 seconds behind him is the DeVault outfit there of Peter Hubert.
Yeah, Peter Hubert sitting in that fifth place. It was a little bit closer earlier on. Oh, but a mistake like that could cost him dearly. Is Peter van der Spey as Peter Hubert gets a little bit closer, gains about 0.4 of a second in that one with that mistake made there by van der Spey. That's not the kind of thing that you can afford with these difficult cars. If you make a mistake like that and somebody else gets into a rhythm, that's the quickest they're going to catch up to you.
I'll tell you what, these guys are really battling out there. It's the JPS Batmobile of Andre Steenkamp that's finding himself once again in all sorts of trouble. No problems for Peter Hubert. The only problem he's got is Peter van der Spey that is ahead of him. And he wants to get that Holden ahead of the other Holden of Van der Spey. And it is now a second between the two of them. And Van der Spey did a personal best there of a 131.558.
That's the last lap that they did. Peter van der Spey did the fastest last lap out there of 131.558. No, he didn't. It was still Lucchesi. But between Van der Spey and Hubert, just managed to be a little bit faster but Peter Hubert has caught right up to him. It's down to 0.3 of a second, so there's a battle coming up between them. But Lucchesi on that lead lap in the Holden leading this race, 3 seconds ahead there of Johan Fourie. That was the same corner he made the mistake the last lap, which brought Hubert a lot closer. So that corner seeming to be catching a lot of the guys out. But we are down to about, 4.5 minutes in this race left for these guys to battle it out here on the streets of Detroit, Motor City in the United States with Aussie V8 Supercars. Yeah, or just check how cherry red those brakes get on that Holden Commodore as they go through those turns, as he's now going to fly around the outside there of Willem Botha. Or is that Willem Pienaar? Sorry. Yeah, Willem Botha, the man there in the Castrol car. Let's have a look here what he did in the number 11. Oh, just came in way too hot and bang into the corner. Johan Fourie trying everything he can now to try and get the times down and to try and catch up to Luke Lucchesi with 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes left in this race. 2.5 minutes to go with your race leader, Luke Lucchesi. Johan Fourie doing everything he can to chase him down. Will there be enough time? Can Sandro Bakari do anything? I doubt it, for with 44 seconds between himself and the guys ahead. But he still needs to stay ahead of Peter Hubert, who's now just 1 second behind him. Peter Hubert just managing to find a rhythm with these very, very difficult cars and just picking off guys one by one. And we've said this at one or two of the other races as well. Peter Hubert of late has gotten better and better and can stick it out with some of the best of them out there. And I'm looking forward to this fight to the finish. Yeah, last minute of this race as we are watching this battle unfold here between Peter Hubert and Sandro Bakari. Bakari having to defend very, very hard, and Peter Hubert having to look very, very hard to find a way past. Will he be able to do it before the lap ends? Let's have a look. Where is our race leader, Luke Lucchesi, making his way around the circuit? There is Lucchesi as he is on his final lap, heading towards, or almost on his final lap. Let's have a look there. That is car number 9. Yeah, he's on his last lap. He's already crossed the start-finish line. He's about halfway through the lap. So the next time he makes it to the start-finish line, that will be the end of it for Luke Lucchesi, who's in the lead of this race, 3 seconds ahead of Johan Fourie. Yeah, Lucchesi winning it. Johan Fourie in that second now. It's a 47-second wait for the next man to come through. That is Sandro Bakari. But he's got his hands full there with Peter Hubert. Hubert not giving it up. Hubert spilling blood in the water. He thinks he can still make a move on Bakari as they go through these right-handers. Sandro Bakari doing everything he can to stay ahead of Peter Hubert. Yeah, Peter van der Spey in 5th. Mike Verrier, the last of the guys on the lead lap in that 6th position. He crosses the finish line, and that's followed by Robbie Teings in 7th. Willem Pinaar in 8th, with Colin Plitt finishing in 9th. Gerald Naget rounding off the top 10. Yeah, look, we always knew this was going to be a difficult one, not the easiest cars to drive out there, and especially not on this kind of circuit. Even this, though, this is a circuit that they do visit on occasion. But yeah, it was a spectacle and a pity that we missed it out there, but what a lovely race it's been. Yeah, so that is it. The race is done and finished, and just waiting for the leaderboard to come up. Okay. So that's it. Luke Lucchesi takes the win there from Johan Fourie in 2nd, Sandro Bakari bringing it home in 3rd, with Peter Hubert in 4th.
Yeah, so as I said, more known for IndyCar racing when they do the Grand Prix of Detroit. But yeah, the guys, I'm sure, had a lot of fun out there. They really, really battled. But yeah, your podium is Luke Lucchesi from Johan Fourie from Sandro Bakari. Right, FC, who would be your driver of the day?
Well, having missed a bit, I would say a good
I think
a good guess. A good guess would be Sandro Bakari,
Yep.
and even Mike Verrier. Mike Verrier also did very well. He got about 11 positions from the start of it, and the main thing with these cars was keep it out of the wall, and that's not the easiest thing to do.
And with Sandro Bakari being out for a while, he was in Portugal and came back because Leonardo has moved over there to come back again and to finish in the top 3, yes. And the biggest losers out there, geez, I tell you what, Andre Steenkamp all the way down, Willem Botha all the way down. So, yeah, hard to choose a driver and a hard luck. All I can say is brave drivers out there in these Aussie V8 supercars.
I think it is a brave driver awarded Andre Steenkamp because he trashed the walls, the trees, and everything around him and just kept on coming back.
I think everybody trashed everything out there. Maybe Luke and Johan was about the only two that didn't.
Look, if the program allowed it, I do think some of the guys would have ended up in Lake Michigan here on Belle Isle. But yeah, what a lovely race it's been. Lovely to be back behind the microphone for round number 3 of season number 5 of the Sports and GT Masters Series. And we'll see you again at the next one, ESCOM permitting.
Yeah, we'll see you right back here next week, Wednesday.
On behalf of Second Gear Studio and the Second Gear Talk Show, thanks very much for joining us and watching. And to FC Nieuwoud, Tiny, Emil Brandt, and then the voice of West Province Motorsport, Frankie Yennis. Thanks very much for your efforts, as always, behind the microphone and bringing everybody all the action. Good night, everybody.